'cause it's witchcraft, wicked witchcraft, and although
right about the time I was 16, 17 years old, I will never forget one of my students' dads came up to me after the dance recital and said, "Has anyone ever told you who you look like?" I said, "No." He said, "I'm going to say who it is and you're not going to know who I'm talking about." I said, "All right, hit me." He says, "You look like Bette Midler, but a young Bette Midler. You specifically remind me of a young Bette Midler." I said, "I know who that is. My parents have been taking me to Barry Manilow concerts since I was like 6 years old. I know who Bette Midler is." And any kid that took more than 4 or 5 years of dance class did a tap number to Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy. So I was well informed on who Bette Midler was, and kind of had a general idea of the era he was talking about. From there, about 2 years later, I was no longer a competitive dancer, but still feeling the competitive spirit, and came across the Miss America system, and got encouraged to compete in prelims. Took me many years before I finally made it to the state level, but through that, I met a woman who was an entertainment manager. And at the time, she was working with a couple of Elvis impersonators. And she was like, "You've got to do this. I mean, you're a dead ringer for Bette. You can sing. You've got to do." I wanted nothing to do with it. I want to do theater. I want to pretend to be people that don't exist. I just wasn't hearing it. And finally, one day, for a surprise birthday party for her, actually, I decided, all right, I'm going to do this, and then she'll stop bugging me about it. And instead, what happened is I performed and said, okay, this was kind of fun. Maybe I want to try this. So I spent the next couple of years really diving into um, locating material and research, because this was before YouTube and Google were the resources that they are now, to again age myself. But it was just not as easy as pulling up an app and searching for a concert title. So I have a VHS tape that I spent $200 on. I actually talked about it to my TikTok following recently in a video. I do a series called Betucation. Um, and I just, as I slowly got my hands on this material, I think a little bit it was the thrill of the chase, because it was so hard to find anything that happened before The Rose and Divine Madness. And as I got my hands on these materials, I started to see how much I enjoyed it. I had a huge sense memory of watching her as a kid on HBO and seeing that very first HBO special of all, and the HBO music specials that became a thing that carried on for decades, and hers was the first, the Bette Midler show. And I just remembered seeing her as a kid, and I remembered, oh my gosh, this is the woman who made me realize it's okay to be silly. As a kid, I had no idea this huge influence she had on me until here I am, all these years later, watching this concert and saying, "Oh, yes, I think absolutely I will do this." Cut to, I was also living in Vegas at the time. She had just announced her residency at Caesar's Palace, and I was fortunate enough. I had been performing at a drag club locally, not as Bette, wasn't performing as her yet. And a young gentleman came up and said, "I have preview tickets to Bette Midler's concert tomorrow night, her very first opening night preview, if you want to go." Yes, I want to go. So that was really the first time I saw her in person. All of that tying together led to me saying, okay, I will do this. I will absolutely do this. But it took a couple of years before I officially said yes, because she is so bombastic. She is so ostentatious. There's a lot to capture. And it's no schlep work, it being an impersonator or being a tribute artist. And I really consider myself a tribute artist because I cannot vocally sound exactly like her. As Winifred, that's different. But I do not sound exactly like Bette Midler. I'll give you moments of her. But it was seeing that concert that night that I said, all right, I think I just need to try this. But with Bette, you just have to be fearless on stage. But it was a long road to that. It was a lot of people trying to talk me into it, and me saying, no, no, this is this is not it. This is not what I should be doing. And now this May will be 15 years that I have performed as Bette Midler, which seems wild, which also means 15 years that I have also been self-producing. Another kind of wild notion. All these characters and getting asked a lot, can you please do Winifred? And I hadn't seen the movie in a few years. I remembered going to the theater to see uh, Hocus Pocus when it first came out in the middle of July. And I was a very judgy adolescent at that time. Why am I watching a Halloween movie in July? So I hadn't watched it in many years, and I watched it and said, okay, this could be fun, but gosh, that costume is going to be a big investment. That costume is going to be a really big investment. So that summer, I had worked with Legends in Concert. At the time, I was working with them as a singer dancer. So I went on tour with them that summer, pocketed, put aside a little bit of cash, called my costumer at the end of the summer and said, I need you to build this for me. And I have no idea what this entails. Like I can, and then one year, I guess it would have been 2014. Some friends called me up and they said, Paul's Nightclub is having a Halloween costume contest. You really should go. And the person that I was living with at the time was a tall, long, perfect Billy. And I said, put this costume on. We went to this contest and we won. And that's a really special memory to me because, of course, Pulse Nightclub in Orlando is no longer and will be turned into a memorial site for the 49 victims that we lost there. But it's one of my greatest memories because I'm not a club going person, but gosh, did we have a good time that night. So that money, we used the money from that win to go to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party at the Magic Kingdom the very next night. And I went dressed in my costume, and it was kind of nuts. And everybody's stopping us for photos. I'm like, we're gonna get kicked out. And I had these gorgeous photos taken with the castle behind me, and I was so excited about them. And Disney gives you this little photo pass, and it's just a little card, and it's got a serial number, and you put that in, and you pull up all your photos. So I saw all my photos were there. I was very excited. I'll order them later. And then suddenly they disappeared. Suddenly, my photos of me as Winifred on the Disney Pass were gone. And I was really bummed. But fast forward to the following year, I am in Branson, Missouri, performing as Bette Midler with Legends in Concert. And it got leaked that the Magic Kingdom was going to be doing a show called the Hocus Pocus-themed Spelltacular. And it was assumed that they were going to be casting locally because they were doing the workshop with in-house cast members. And everybody said, you have to be at this audition. Well, as soon as they announced it, absolutely. So sure enough, they had local auditions and I went. And, this is a normal theater audition. I'm not sure if I should take with me photos of myself as Winifred. Are they going to see me as, just a character performer and not a legitimate theatrical performer? But I ran the risk, gave my headshot and resume and another page that had photos of me as Bette and as Winifred. And I've auditioned for Disney many times prior to this and not been the right fit. I've never seen anyone grab a callback card so quickly